Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Knit Crochet Read Repeat podcast channel. My name is Kirby. I am coming to you from a, dare I actually say it, sunny Paisley, which is just a stone's throw away from Glasgow in Scotland. I am actually here to record a proper podcast episode. I know it has been a while. We've mostly been having like stash videos, Monday vlogs, that kind of thing. But finally, I'm going to sit down and do a proper podcast. So, because it's been a while, there are some old finished objects that I didn't really get the chance to show off. I don't remember. So, if they have been shown off, please forgive me. Don't have the best memory. So first off, we have the Ravelry shawl, which is a beautiful 2-colour brioche shawl. And this does still need blocked. I just keep putting it off. And honestly, like, maybe I should just do it after I finish recording so that I get it done. And that I can actually use this before the real good weather kicks in. We're probably still a while away for that, to be honest, considering we're in Scotland. But yep, this is a 2-colour brioche knitted shawl. You can see when it's stretched out, you can see the yellow in the background. And then if I done the same on the other side, you can see the green in the background. This shawl was a labour of love. I was getting really... Where's my wee bag? Oh, I put the bag out of reach because that was smart. 2 seconds, please. It was a labour of love, and when I show you how much yarn I had left, you'll see why I also had some anxiety around this project. I had 2 150 gram skeins of yarn, and this is all I have left. This isn't even 5 grams. I think when I weighed this was coming in at 3 grams of yarn. And then I think this one is more around the 6 gram mark. So yeah, I was cutting this so close towards the end, and I'm so glad I managed to get it done. Now this was the yarn I may have been able to get more of. This is W.I.Ps, and it was in their big 150 gram skeins, and it has a sparkle in it. Whereas this yarn was from Queen of Pearls, who no longer dyes yarn. So I would never have been able to get this unless someone had it in their stash. But I don't know what the colorway was. I lost the ball band several months ago, maybe over a year ago. I lost the ball band for this yarn, so I would never have been able to find out which yarn it was. So depending, I'm going to reweigh the gold one, because if this is like 3.4 3.6 grams, I could maybe get a square of this in my Coziest Memories blanket. I can definitely get a square with this. So this one will be going in the Coziest Memories blanket. I actually might get put in today, because I still have to do today's squares, because today I'm recording on a Monday. And again, depending on what this was, again, it may or may not get in the Coziest Memories. I hope it will, but I think I decided if it was less than 4, I wasn't going to risk doing a whole bunch of knitting to then have to frog it, because I wouldn't actually be able to finish the square. So I'm going to set those aside. I'm going to literally put them back in the bag they came out of. But yeah, this is a free pattern on Ravelry. I will link all the patterns down below. This was my first foray into more complex brioche. The only brioche I had done probably up until this shawl was just simple straight rows of brioche knitting. And so this pattern requires you to do a whole bunch of increases and decreases as well. So this was a big learning curve, And every time I picked up this project, I had to go back onto YouTube and relearn the decreases, because for some reason they just never sticked in my noggin. They were just like, oh, what's going on here? Is this just a really elongated stitch? Let's see if we can maybe fix that a wee bit. There we go, that's better. I don't know what happened there. But yeah, I don't know what it was about the decrease stitches. Specifically like the center decreases. I just could not get that to stick in my memory whatsoever. But yeah, I think I'm going to deliberately leave this one out, and I'm going to look to get this blocked. I think I might steam block it because I don't want it, already isn't the lightest shawl in the world. So I think this will be a steam block rather than a wet block. Next up on the finish list is the... This would have been really good had I written notes down beforehand. Please hold whilst I check. This is the Alaska hat by Camille Descoteaux. Apologies if I say that wrong. This is a hat my mum asked me to knit. She done the brim, like all the ribbing, and then I done the colour work. And in daylight, this isn't looking too bad, but if you've been watching my Monday vlogs, you'll know I wasn't too enamoured by the yarn that the store put together. But then I went back and actually read the pattern, and this is the yarn the designer recommends. And then as well, it just wasn't my best colour work to date. So there's that as well. But I feel like the difference between the Knit Picks Stroll, which I'm sure is the solid colour, and then the chroma, I want to call it, there is a thickness difference. And then the Stroll is applied yarn, and then the chroma is a single spun. So I feel like it's not the best yarn combination. And then when you get to this dark purple section on dark, like a dark grey, it also just isn't the best combination. I can see on the camera that the colour work does come across, but it's not the clearest in person, which is interesting. Normally you would find that it looks better in person than it does on camera, but that's just not the case, unfortunately. So there is leftover yarn that will be going back to my mum, and I just hope this fits her, because when I put it on and I kind of roll the brim up like you're meant to wear, it doesn't quite cover my ears, and my mum likes her ears being covered. You can put the brim further down or just wear it completely down, but that just pushes all my hair into my eyes, which is not pleasant. So I wouldn't recommend the recommended yarn. I would recommend the pattern, but honestly I think you need to knit more in the ribbing and then more before the decreases. I knit everything to pattern, and I think between the end of the chart and then the start of the decreases, I think there needs to be more. But I also have a really big head, so there's that. I just hope it fits my mum. I need to remember to give her this. I saw her at the weekend there and I totally forgot, so I'm going to leave this out and give her it on Thursday when I see her. So yeah, that's the Alaska hat. And then three more, technically four more finished objects. First of the four is the Sanderson Sister Socks. This is a yarn by For the Love of Yarn, who are based in Glasgow and have a studio that you can go up and visit, and you can buy the hand-dyed yarn. This was part of the Fantasy Fibers yarn club that I was part of last year. I got all 12 months. I have not knit all 12 up yet, but I have got quite a few done. And I really, really love this yarn. I think it's so fun and it's just so awesome. These took me a while to make because I was out of commission for like 2 months because I got de Quervain's, which is tendonitis basically in your thumbs. And so unfortunately it did take me a wee bit longer than I would have liked to get these finished, but they are done. They can now go into circulation, although I see on camera I have left one stitch marker for some reason. So let's set those aside, get that stitch marker removed afterwards, and they can go into my sock drawer. Next up is also another pair of socks. These are the Arnie and Carlos Perfect, and these have been knit for my friend, and I had a rant about the Perfect yarn probably on another Monday vlog if we're being honest. I feel like they just don't consider bigger feet. Yes, I know you can cut the yarn, you can take less on, like you can have a smaller leg and a longer foot, blah, blah, blah. I know. But I shouldn't have to cut the yarn to get more length. So, I don't think I'll be keeping any type of yarn where you need to, where it's kind of like predetermined for the perfect pair. I have, I want to say like a Grundle hot socks sort of situation, and that's one of the ones where you're meant to get a perfectly matching pair of socks. So I might see about destashing that because I just can't be bothered. It's more ends. Honestly, it's the pure laziness in me that it's more ends to weave in because I have to cut the yarn because I have bigger feet. So these are for my friend, and even with her having smaller feet, I still had to knit more rounds in the kind of pinky colour to get to the correct length for her smaller feet. So even people with smaller feet are not going to be able to use this and get perfect socks. Also, I don't care about matching socks. I never have. And if someone's going to complain to me if I take the time out of my day to make them a pair of socks and they complain that they don't match, then they're not worthy of my time to knit. To be perfectly honest. Life is too short to be making perfect pairs of socks. If you want perfect socks, go buy them. And then my third and fourth finished object, even though I only have one to show off, is this little guy. This is from the Cutest Crochet Creatures by Alison North. I did get this book out of The Works, which is a store here in the UK where you can get books on a massive discount. So you'll see here the price tag is still on it. I paid £4 when, if you'd got this maybe from the designer directly, if they've got a website, or from Waterstones, or from somewhere else, like maybe like a yarn store had the book in stock, you would be looking to pay slightly more money. And the RRP is $14.95. Or $21.95, or in Canadian it's $29.95. So there's that. Now the other one I made, I will insert a photo because it's basically the same one but with yellow. I made for my dad. So we have a family group chat, as I think most people do in this day and age. And I took a photo of this little cutie and I put it into my family group chat, and my dad's like, I want one. And my dad is not super demanding when it comes to crafted items. He's very, like, if you make him something, he appreciates it, but he doesn't ask for anything. So when he said he wanted one, I was just like, well, I'll make one. And so basically made the exact same, but with yellow instead of the dark purple and then I think we used the lilac, or it's yellow and the dark purple. I can't remember, it was a while ago, but I have put in a photo for you to see. So, just whilst I have this book out, there are a couple of things in here I would love to make, and I think they might get made sooner rather than later, because if my body is protesting the way it is, knitting is actually proving more difficult and more painful on my thumbs, which must not really be fully healed yet. And crochet, I don't get that pain. So here is some of the goodies that you can make. And I talked about this on a Monday vlog as well, I think. And there's just so many that I want to do. I'd love to make the little lamb, which is over here. And then I love the look of this little donkey, because I actually have a grey yarn, like a chenille. I've got a chenille grey yarn that would be excellent for that. And then, honestly, I think the only ones I don't want to make is the monkey, maybe the alligator, and the two kind of like dolls, like the ballerina and the girl. They're probably the only ones I don't want to make. Maybe the giraffes. But yeah, I just think they're all really gorgeous. Like, I love the two whales and I love the little birds up the top corner. And it's just made me want to do more amigurumi, because it's been a while since I've done amigurumi. Okay, I am going to organise some stuff. Try to see why my tripod is wobbling, because my foot is nowhere near it. And then we're going to jump back in with W.I.Ps, which is works in progress. Okay, up next are our works in progress, and first off the bat is this beautiful crochet shawl. This is Lost in Time by Joanna Lindo. I am all sorts of tangled up here, and this is being made in a 100% cotton yarn that my mum gave to me. And this has received some love. Let's put the end to the back. But it's not received as much love as I would like. So I cannot like watch something and crochet. I can watch something and knit absolutely fine. And recently Scott and I were trying to get the game Indiana Jones complete. And I was really invested in that game. He plays, I watch, and then give directions. And so I just wasn't really able to put much work into it. And then one of my craft groups that I attend, one of the girls, hi Paula, ladies, sorry, girls, not ladies. Nope, ladies, not girls. Is crocheting her own large shawl, and we've become each other's accountability partner, because I think it's so easy when you have one of these big massive cakes of yarn. Obviously it was a lot bigger. When you've got one of these and you're making a shawl, and especially one that is repetitive, like this is the exact same, I want to say 11, maybe 12 rows that you repeat. It can become very easy just to put this down and leave it. And so I kind of said to Scott, it's like, hey, why don't you do some gaming with one of your friends? I'm just going to sit and do some crochet. And I think he always thinks I'm like trying to trick him when I say that. And I'm like, no. I really just want to do my crochet, because I can't watch you do a game. I can't watch us have something on Netflix, or if we're getting caught up with the wrestling, I can't watch and crochet. I need to just be able to focus on the crochet. So normally I put like my audiobook on, and I've gotten quite a bit in. I think maybe the last time you've seen this, it was kind of towards the end of the grey, and now we're transitioning more towards the beige. But yeah, it's so nice having an accountability partner when you're making such a big shawl, because again, it's so easy to just put this down. Like, I don't put this away. This just gets put down in my living room so I can always see it. Because I am somebody that out of sight, out of mind is a real thing for me. And so if I just leave this out with the hook buried in the yarn, then I have no excuse not to work on this. As long as my iPad's in the room, which right now it's not, it's upstairs on our walking pad. As long as my iPad's in the room, I can just work away on this quite happily. So I did say it was a Lost in Time shawl. I did have the person's name. Is it what, Joanna Lindo? Is that what I said? I did say it. I'm kind of like, did I say the person's name or did I not? Next up, we'll stick with crochet again. And I had this really gorgeous project bag sitting on my desk full of these W.I.Ps. I can never say that. Katana, 25 gram. Where's my figures? 10 gram, 25 meter balls of cotton. And I had quite a few when I started putting this on my work desk. And in January, I managed to get, oh, that's a wee ball band. Not sure which one that came off. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. I got 11 made in January. And then so far in February, I've managed to get 9 more made up. And you're maybe sitting there wondering, well, what are you making them into? I am making the Battenberg squares. Just some simple crochet squares. And I do a 6 round square. And I normally always have like a little nugget left over. And then I roll them up and I put them back into their ball band sleeve. Just because sometimes like I like knowing roughly what colour they wear. Like obviously I can see the colour, but to know like the lot number and the colour number. So I've got, what did I say? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Yep, 11 in January. And then so far just 9 for February. But I mean, we are only on the 16th. And then out of the selection I only have 2 left. So I have 2 separate boxes up on a unit to my left. One has just more of these, and I reckon there's probably still around, I want to say about 40 of these. And then the other box has finished squares. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop January's in. Oh, I dropped another ball band. I'm going to pop January's squares into that box. And I'm going to add on a bit of paper how much yarn I've used up. So it's all 10 gram minis. Oh, I'm dropping. And all my little ball bands are falling off as well. I'm just going to stop holding these. Just making more mess. So 10 gram minis, and I have 11. So that's 110 grams of yarn used up. And then I'll do all the math to kind of, well, I'll not do all the math. I'm going to keep a record of how much yarn I'm using up. And I don't really care to do it by month. But for some reason I kept January's finished squares separate from February's. I think I'm just going to do like a running tally. And so I'm going to add these ones to the box of all the other finished squares. And then eventually I'm going to join them together. And I think I've talked about this before, like I reckon it would be 2 blankets worth of squares, and I haven't decided on how I want to join them. I think it's 4 squares joined together already, and I don't like the look of it, so I do need to undo that and then find a new way to join the squares. Right, let's get the 9 for February back in the bag. The 2 balls of yarn not finished, and the crochet hook, and that's all ready to go back up onto my desk upstairs. I quite like having that as a project because I can put it down any point. Like, should I get a random sudden meeting, I can pick that up, put maybe a couple of stitches or a round depending on the length of the call, and then on my break I can pick it up, put more stitches in it. Like, it's great. It's just so easy to pick up and put back down. Okay, so we're going to move on to the knitting works in progress, and this one has been receiving a lot of love, and I did, if I can find it, put a stitch marker in to show roughly. Okay, I can't find the stitch marker. I'm sure I put a stitch marker in here. Okay, I can roughly find where it was. So this is the Ultra cardigan by Skandier Knits. This cardigan should have colour work, but I decided to omit that and just do a full plain cardigan. Not for any particular reason. It's not like I dropped the ball of yarn. It's not like I didn't want to do the colour work. Actually, I've realised working this, I wish I had put the colour work in. But I think I was, let me see, where's my last row? So I think I was about here when I picked it up. So this is the front. These 2 lines here are where the steek will be. This is the front of the cardigan. This is the neckband. So I think I was about here. And I've put, I'd say I've put a good 3 inches into this cardigan, 3.5. And I've split for the sleeves. I actually really need to try this on. I was trying it on a lot. And then I split for the sleeves and I haven't tried it on. I wanted a good amount of length under the sleeve before I tried it on. And now I'm kind of like, I'm past the point of no return if this doesn't fit, because I don't want to have to rip this all out. But this is Rowan tweed yarn. It's really, really lovely. Just very subtle flecks of tweed in this really gorgeous kind of like maroon colour. This is yarn I picked up in Manchester, and it was heavily reduced. I don't know if it was like the end of the line for the store, or maybe Rowan had changed their label. I'm not 100% sure. But it was heavy reduced, and I got a sweater's quantity. And I honestly was a wee bit worried that this yarn might be a wee bit too itchy, scratchy for my skin, because I have very sensitive skin on my back. But when I blocked my swatch, which I think is in here, I feel like this softened up considerably. And then I can also add in some fabric softener, or more importantly, or more preferably, hair conditioner. And that will soften it up even more. And I know you're all shocked. I actually done a swatch, and I done the swatch in the round because the garment is knit in the round. And I actually found that I went with the recommended needle size, and then I was kind of like, okay, not blocked, that's hit and gauge, perfect. But then I thought, I reckon this yarn will bloom and grow just a tiny bit. So then I went down a needle size, and I was spot on. The yarn did bloom a little bit, and what was hidden gauge before block actually turned out to now be, is it bigger than gauge? I always get confused the way gauge works. And the smaller needle size was coming out perfect. So yeah, I really need to get this project onto a longer cable, oh excuse me, and get this tried on, because I'm a little nervous that I got a little too, oh no, I just found another split stitch and it's in the neckband. That's too far down for me to fix. I'm just gonna have to take a strand of yarn and try and catch it as best I can. I done some, not sweater surgery, but I dropped down a considerable amount. I'll put the photo into the side. I dropped down a considerable amount to fix a stitch which had split. And I've just found another one. Amazing. That's probably about the same amount I dropped down before. So this yarn, it is a plied yarn, but one of the plies is considerably thin, like much thinner. Like you can see on this strand here, you can see like a slightly lighter strand compared to the rest of it. And it always is the thinner bit that if I'm going to split it, it's always the thinner bit that catches and I drop the thicker bit of yarn. And I've just found two. Do I have a stitch marker to hand so I can highlight that so I can go back and pick it up? I don't mind dropping my yarn down. There we go. But I found another one and it's in the neckband, and there's just no way I'm going to drop all the way down to the neckband. I'm just going to wait till the end of the project, and then I will, with some leftover yarn, I will secure it by doing like a wee mend. So there's the one in the neckband, and then there's the one on the front of the garment. I just have the fear that if I spot them and I don't fix them or mend them later on, that I will block this and it will just, like the yarn will just snap. Just checking very quickly to see if there's any other obvious ones. I really hope not. No, we seem good. Okay. I also need to find where I put the rest of the balls of this, or the rest of the skeins of this yarn, because I am running low. I think I have had eight in total, and I've put 2 into this garment so far. And I would say, like, I'm getting a lot for my money with this yarn. I know that sounds funny to say, but that's already 2 balls of yarn. So I'm pretty happy with that. But yeah, I can't remember if I put the yarn back in my yarn cupboard or not. And if I have, I'm not looking forward to trying to find it. And then if I haven't put it back in my yarn cupboard, I don't know what cubby I put the yarn in. Okay, we'll do another garment. And I'm sad to say that this one is on hold at the moment. This is the Toaster by Rebecca Clow. I'm doing it in DK yarn. This is Drops Bell. This is the yarn I made it in the first time last year, but I didn't like the gauge it was on, and so I've gone down a couple of needle sizes, I think, and I've got to a gauge I really like, a fit I really like. And the reason this is on hold is because for some reason my thumb on my left hand, which is my non-dominant hand, really isn't liking the size of the needles. And I think these are 4s. I think these are 4mm needles. So they're not even huge needles. Maybe they're 3.5 actually. I don't have a needle gauge to hand. So I'm not entirely sure. Right, what are you? You are 3mm. Oh no, definitely not 3mm. They have to be 4mm. I'm sure these were done on a 4. And my thumb is just not liking it. I need to find my thumb splint and see if maybe wearing that helps. But maybe I just need a little longer time for my thumb to fully heal. But I really, really would love to have this done for summer. I think this would be a really lovely t-shirt to have on. And it's like, I've got so much done. Like, that's a good amount from the split for the sleeves. And I have been trying this one on. I even put in a couple extra stitches for the bust. And then when it gets towards like the stomach, like when I get further down, I'm probably going to put more stitches in for the stomach so that it's not tight. I don't like a tight garment that emphasizes my stomach. So I always like to put a few more stitches in so it kind of flares out towards the bottom. Not super flary, just enough that it will skim over the stomach. So yeah, this one is sadly on hold, but it has had a lot of progress. This was started on the 14th of January, and I could have had this done probably by now, honestly, but I am not pushing it when it comes to my thumbs. I'm not willing to re-injure myself. And then the last work in progress, this has been talked about in pretty much all my Monday vlogs because it's a Monday project. But this is my Coziest Memories blanket. This is a pattern by Kemper Ray, and this is what we're working with so far. It's not the widest project in the world. It's wide enough though that when I'm sitting cross-legged on my sofa, it will drape over my knees and down to cover. And then at the moment, I think when I picked this up, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I was on the 8th row when I picked this up. And this was where I started going all in on this project. This was the 8th row, so this one here. And I think it was the 2nd week in January, I finished the 8th row. And then I have moved on to the 9th. So the plan of action for this project, so that it gets done and gets a good amount of progress on it, is to put 2 squares in every week. But I need to then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I need to, in this next year, add in an additional 9 squares. So basically from this one here to the end, I need to do again throughout the year, which is nothing. 9 squares in 52 weeks, that's fine. Have I put a single extra one on so far? No, of course not. And the reason why I need to add in another additional 9 above the 2 every week is because the 8th row was not finished. And my math, I wanted a nice round number, so at the end of the year, I would then have 16 complete rows. So I already have 8. And then by putting 2 on every week, I would then get another 8 rows. But my math was taken into consideration with a finished row. And these were only put in January, like these last 9. So all that to say, I have to keep this project up. I keep it out all the time so that I get my Mondays done and put the 2 squares in on a Monday. I think there was a time, I want to say last week or maybe the week before, where they went on a Wednesday because I was working the Monday and had the Wednesday off instead. And that will happen a couple of times the rest of the year. But as long as the 2 squares get done every week, I will have significant progress at the end of the year. I will basically have a blanket that is this long. This is the width, but I'll have it longer than the width because this is only 13 squares wide and I should have 16 finished rows by the end of the year. And I actually really enjoy working on this. I'm still doing my 1 solid, 1 variegated repeat across, and then on the next row up it will be variegated solid all the way along, just so that there's a wee bit of fun to it and it's all something a wee bit different. But yeah, I'm really loving having this back out. I'm going to be leaving in, where is it? I'm going to be leaving this marker in, but I'm only going to be leaving stitch markers. I don't know if you can really see them. I've used colours that kind of match each square, but all the squares I've done in the new year have a marker on them, so I can be like, okay, I haven't shown these on the podcast. But I'm going to leave this one in because this is where I started this year. And then whenever I add another 2 on, I'll put markers in them. But I'm going to take all the markers out apart from that one. And then I'll start again. And then it'll be clearer in the next podcast what's the new squares. I just made that so complicated when I didn't need to. And with that is the end of my WIPs. I have other projects. I'm kind of like looking around the room. I have other projects that I have touched but don't really show off in the podcast anyway. And then I have projects I have not touched, and some of them are just because they were away, they were put away, and it's a mission to kind of like dig them out sometimes. And then others are just because emotionally I can't work on them right now. The fundraiser blanket that I'm doing, I'm afraid I have found I can't work on right now, and I'm not going to disclose what's going on there. And then I really want to pick up I keep changing the name of it every time I say it, but it's the Scrappy Sock Yarn Stripe Blanket. I don't know why, my brain's just like, we want to work on that. But I'm worried about working on it because I think the needles on that are thicker than the needles on the Tolsta. And if the Tolsta hurts, then I reckon this blanket will hurt my thumb as well. But the rows are considerably shorter, so I don't know whether to give it a chance. I might give it a chance and see how I get on. But all in all, I'm happy that I have got 3 WIPs done that came into 2026 with me. The Ravelry shawl was a 2025 finish, just towards the end of 2025. I think I got that finished at the start of November. I just never really got the chance to show it off. Maybe? I don't know. I feel like I talked about it. I just don't know when. So, is there anything else in that? No. So the Alaska hat came into 2026 with me. Sanderson Sisters came into 2026, and the Perfect socks came into 2026. So 3 finishes for my WIP pile. My Tolsta was cast on this year, so that doesn't count. The Otra has had a lot of love. It just doesn't look it because it's 4-ply yarn. That's the only really downside to doing a 4-ply garment when you're also then plus size. The Coziest Memories blanket will be getting a lot of love, but I also think this was like a 2023 project. I'm not sure, maybe older. The Lost in Time shawl, that came into 2026 with me. And then a lot of my other ones are all blankets. So if I don't work on the Scrappy Sock Stripe blanket, then I'd like to try and get the 4 to 8 squares. I'm sure I said 4, between 4 and 8 added onto my Radvent blanket. I'm going to leave both blankets out this week. I'm going to put the Ultra cardigan away. It's not going to get forgotten. It's just not going to get worked on this week. I'm going to have a couple of projects out this week that I'm just going to rotate through. So blankets, projects for this week. Once the Coziest Memories blanket is done for this week, it's no longer in rotation. So that'll get done today. So what do I want to work on this week? So first of all, it's the 16th of February. Should have said that right at the start. Didn't. So I'm going to pull out the Radvent blanket. And then pull out... We'll go for 8 minis. We'll pull out 8 minis that will go into that blanket. I'm not going to get all 8 squares done. But to be fair, I was doing a square a night. But it was the only thing I'd done. I'm going to... So the Radvent blanket, the Scrappy Sock Stripe blanket, and then I think I'm going to continue to leave out the Lost in Time shawl. Because there's always a wee bit of time where I can get maybe a row done. And then honestly, I might cast on a sock. I miss having a small portable project. I don't have one on the go. I need one. So I might cast on a sock. Might not be for me. Probably won't be for me. I have a lot of socks that are not currently in my sock drawer that I need to weave in the ends on. And then I've got all the socks I made last year that need to go into my sock drawer because all the ends are woven in on. So maybe they'll be for my mum, because my mum's been making everyone else socks recently. So maybe I'll make my mum a pair, and then my dad a pair, and then maybe some other people a pair. But yeah, so that's my three projects for this week that I'm going to try and focus on. We'll see how I get on with the Scrappy Sock Stripe blanket. It might not be feasible with my thumb, and again, I'm just not willing to re-injure myself. But there's just something in my brain saying that would be a good project to just maybe get the muscle to be better, because it's much shorter rows. It's only about 30 stitches, and then you turn and you work back. Whereas the toaster is a lot of stitches constantly in the round. So that's my thinking. And then I need to update the yarn usage so that my stash down for the year actually starts getting calculated. And we'll see. Part of me really wants to start a new project, but I also really want to get some other things finished. I just have a lot of projects that are a lot of long-term projects. That's the only kicker. But yeah, now I'm just rambling. Life update in one sense is that I may or may not be getting carpal tunnel surgery. This all goes back to when I was out of commission because of my thumbs. I went up to see the physio, but I thought I was going to see about my thumbs, but it turns out my referral had mentioned carpal tunnel symptoms, and who I was seeing was there about the carpal tunnel and not my thumbs, which was really annoying and still annoying to this day. And she asked me to keep a log for 6 weeks wearing the splints. And just due to trying to get appointments with my doctor. It actually ended up being closer to like 10 weeks. Sorry, 2 seconds. Yeah, it ended up being closer to like 10 weeks. And I was still having symptoms, even though I was told after 6 weeks your symptoms should be gone if you wear your splints. And I wore my splints religiously. So took my log to my doctor. She was just like, how long have you been suffering with carpal tunnel? Because I think at first she thought it wasn't diagnosed. And I'm like, no, I have had 2 nerve conduction studies and they both confirm I have carpal tunnel. So when I said how long I'd been suffering with carpal tunnel for, she agreed that a referral needed to be done to see the people that do the carpal tunnel surgery. And I got a letter through the other day and I have an appointment to go speak to them. They might still say no. They might put me on the longest waiting list ever, but I'm still going to go see them. So that's in March. I'm kind of hoping the surgery is not going to be anywhere soon. I'm only just back at work. I don't really want to go back off and have to come back and relearn my job a second time. That's just not, I don't want that to happen. But if it is, you all now know why I may be disappearing for a little while. But I'd hope I'd still be able to do like a Monday vlog, depending, because I do have a stand. I wouldn't have to hold the camera. But yeah, I'm really excited. We will see. We will see. If you'd watched last Monday's vlog, you'll see how happy I was that my doctor agreed to put the referral in. And she actually said she was going to put it through as urgent. So within a week, I had a letter with an appointment. But again, I could still turn up to this appointment and they'd be like, you're not bad enough. Like, you're right at the bottom of the line, the bottom of the queue, which would be fair to be put at the bottom of the queue if there were people that were referred before me. But I've been dealing with carpal tunnel now for years and I just want the surgeries done for both my hands because it is both. And then I can put this behind me. That's all I want, just to be able to put all this behind me, heal, not have symptoms again. Because it's not fun. I know a lot of you watching probably have carpal tunnel or have had like periods of carpal tunnel, because I know it comes and goes. But mine always seems to come back. It never seems to go and stay gone. Oh, we are about to get some rain. Sorry, squirrel moment. But yeah, I'm going to, well, first of all, I'm going to clean up. I always make a little bit of a mess when I do a podcast. Then I'm going to pin out the Ravelry shawl. Well, do you know what I didn't show off that I've been working on? The gingerbread cow blanket. Excuse me, hiccups. I've been working on that, but I need to, oh my god. Hey, I was right, we got rain. Sorry. It was not raining when I said, hey, we're gonna get rain. I just looked at the sky and I just knew. I need to pin out the center panel for the gingerbread cow, because the one with the gingerbread house, I don't know if it's the stitches or it was my gauge, but that's a lot tighter than the outside border, and because of that it's rippling, as you will have seen in last Monday vlog. So I need to pin that out, and so I now have 2 things I need to pin out. So I'm going to tidy up in here, go pin those out, and I'm going to steam block both of them because one's acrylic and one is wool. And we'll see how we get on. I might add some footage towards the end of this, but yeah, now I really am blathering and I'm losing light because it's now raining. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. Let me know in the comments down below what projects you're going to be working on this week. I'm hoping I'll be able to get a bit of all 3 of this week's projects done. But we'll see. Again, I might not be able to get much done on the scrappy sock straight blanket, and if that's the case, I'm going to put it back into hibernation and pick a 3rd project. I don't know which one yet. And then I think I'm going to cast on that sock, like I said. But yeah, until my next episode, please do stay safe and happy crafting. Bye everyone. So I've just put 9 more balls of yarn in here. So there's another 11 in total, because we've got the 2 that started. And I just counted how many were left in this container. And in total I have over, I think it's 61. That includes the ones in here. So that's still a lot of mini skeins. Maybe this is going to be like a 3 blanket project. But this is my, oh excuse me, stretching. This is my container of finished ones apart from February's, which are still in here. And so 61, I will pause and come back. So I'm not sure if my math is off somewhere, because I'm sure maybe this was a box of 100, but counting everything, oh, I haven't counted the finished February ones. So yes, it must have been a box of 100, because my math here was like 91. So I have 9 finished for February, so it must be a box of 100. So yeah, I think this might be a 3 blanket project, because the squares are not tiny. But I don't know, maybe we'll just need to wait and see. We will just need to wait and see, because maybe I could make smaller blankets and donate them, so like they're more like lap blankets, in which case I could probably maybe get like 6. But now I'm just thinking out loud. Okay. So this is pre-pinning out. As you can see, very wavy. Definitely kind of like pulling in towards the center. Let's see what we can do pinning it out. Okay, so probably not the best idea to block both of these at the same time. As you can see, I'm not even halfway up the shawl. So even if I had this extra blocking pad, I wouldn't really be able to do the shawl properly. So I'm just going to do it in stages, hope for the best, and see. Because obviously it's not going to dry instantly with the steam. But I reckon I'm going to do the gingerbread square first, and then see. But yeah, shawl is going to have to be done in stages for sure. So we've relocated to my kitchen, where I currently have the Ravelry shawl doubled over on our clothes rack, just because it is obviously a wee bit damp, but oh, it's looking so good now it's blocked. I probably should have left it pinned out, but again, you saw it was really awkward. I just didn't have enough mats for the length of this shawl. And if I grab both layers, you can see where I said, like, I think the second half is like 1 repeat shorter, or I messed up, but my numbers were still good towards the end, so I don't know, maybe it's like a design thing. So yeah, really happy I got that done today. I've left the acrylic just upstairs, just to see, like, just to let that dry completely, whereas this I'm going to hang up, let it air out. But yeah, then all I have to do is weave in the ends on both sides, and this can start being used.